the courage of Grace Taylor. Grace, can I share a little bit about you? When I met Grace, I found out that several of her siblings had been aborted. And that the fact that she had to work through that, because again, we hear often, I'm not having an abortion, this issue doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. 22% of Grace's generation is not here. Those are our sisters and our brothers and our cousins and our grandchildren. And I love what a friend says, this may not be our problem, but it sure is our responsibility. And again, we have a heart to offer healing and hope to the thousands of men and women in our state who are walking around silent and suffering because of their decision to have an abortion. And I want to let you know that there's hope. The next woman that I'm going to introduce to you is a good friend of mine and colleague. Lori Navrodzke is originally from Chicago, but for the past 23 years, she's called Tucson her home. She has a dual master's degree in addictions and professional counseling, specializing in grief recovery related to abortion and other pregnancy loss. Lori has been with Hands of Hope Tucson since 2006 and is currently our recovery services manager. She's not only passionate about defending the unborn, but because of her own experience with abortion, she's equally passionate about helping others who have made an abortion decision walk through their journey of healing. Please welcome Lori Navrodzke.
It's such a pleasure to be here today and to see all of you taking time out from your weekend to celebrate life. A rally like this can really bring up a lot of strong emotions. For some, it may be anger or sadness as we think about the all the millions of children who have lost their lives to abortion over the past 45 years. But for others, this environment may bring up emotions of grief, sadness, shame. Since the Roe v. Wade decision, abortion has really become an issue, a political issue, religious, or women's rights. But for so many of us, abortion is a personal experience. Even if you haven't been personally impacted by abortion, it's likely you encounter people every day in your communities, churches, and even your family who have. And in a crowd this size, I can guarantee that there are many of us here who have been involved in that choice. On February 24th, 1984, I walked into an abortion clinic in Chicago. I was 10 weeks pregnant. It's an experience I wish I could forget, but even now I can remember every detail like it just happened. My pregnancy ended that day, but it wasn't until many years later that I was able to acknowledge that my child lost his life in that clinic. I tried to put it behind me and get on with my life. I didn't talk about it, and I tried not to think about it. But the memories and emotions were always just beneath the surface. There were times that I wanted to get involved in pro-life work to make up for what I had done. And then at other times, I felt like I had no right to be a part of this community because of what I had done. I never got pregnant again, and I was sure that God was punishing me. I put so much judgment and condemnation on myself that I was certain if I told anyone, they would also judge me. It was my secret, and I didn't talk about it. I spiraled into a very dark place, and in 2004, 20 years after this supposedly simple procedure, I wanted to end my life. But God had other plans for me, and He led me to a Christian counselor who was knowledgeable in post-abortion healing. I was given the opportunity to openly grieve the loss of my child, and as part of that process, I named him BJ. I also needed to embrace and accept God's forgiveness, not just acknowledge it in my head, but embrace it in my heart. Both of these pieces, that spiritual side of forgiveness and the emotional need to grieve, are equally important in healing. Now I can honestly say that while I'm not proud of what I did, I'm no longer ashamed. I'm okay with my past because of what Jesus did on the cross, and I look forward to that day when BJ and I are reunited in heaven. If you're here today struggling with having been part of an abortion decision, please know that God loves you and He wants to see your abortion-wounded heart healed and whole. Any life-affirming pregnancy center can get you plugged into individual counseling or an abortion recovery class. And in your bags, there's information about healing retreats like Deeper Still and Rachel's Vineyard. So often the women and men who are involved in an abortion decision are silenced by shame and guilt. As you speak up for the unborn, couple it with love for those who are around you, because you never know who may be suffering in silence. Thank you.